3/5 of a number is 162. Let me simplify this down a bit, and we made this into half of a number is 40. But this is pretty simple. The number must be 80. That one's okay. Now we have a fraction here which is less than 1. And we have a number here which is 162. Now the number must be bigger than 162. How much we know. Now we could go back to this idea we had before about of and is. So of means times, so 3/5 times a number. We don't know what that is, so let's call that x. This is where we use algebra. We use algebra when we don't know certain numbers. So we can just set that equal to x in this case, is 162. This makes our job a bit easier because we can now rearrange this and get x as the subject. X on the left hand side of this equation, we want x to stay on that side. So we want to basically undo this timesing by 3/5. The opposite of timesing by 3/5 would be dividing by 3/5. So if we divide by 3/5, that eliminates it on this side of the equation. Timesing and dividing, that's the opposite, it's going to eliminate. But we need to divide on the other side. Whenever we're rearranging in algebra, we do the same to both sides. Dividing by a fraction, this kind of puts a lot of people off of what we do here. But you could do a simple example if you wanted to and see how it works. So we did 8 divided by 8, that gives us 1. If we did 8 divided by 4, that would give us 2. If we did 8 divided by 2, that gives us 4. If we did 8 divided by 1, that gives us 8. Now I didn't pick these numbers out of thin air. I deliberately picked these because when I'm looking down here, 8, 4, 2, 1, we're halving each time. And then we look at 1, 2, 4, 8, we're doubling each time. So it kind of makes sense. If we're dividing by half the amount, then we're going to get double the result. So if I continue this pattern down and I go 8 divided by a half, that must equal to 16. And we could continue down if we wanted to. So we could see it with other fractions as well, that when you divide by those, you're essentially timesing by the reciprocal. We get this rule up here that we have, instead of 8 divided by a half, we have 8 times 2. 2/1 if you want. We do ignore the 2/1. That doesn't really mean anything. Divided by 1 stays the same. That's equal to 16. I think some people refer to it as KFC, that's keep, flip, change, where you keep the first number, you flip a fraction and you change the sign. So in this case here, we can do 162 divided by 3/5. Or we can do 162 times by 5/3, which is a bit more easy to work out. But we want to be a bit careful here because typically we do 162 times 5. Now we could go ahead and do that. We could do long multiplication, or we could do a bit of a shortcut and do 162 times 10, then divide that by 2. But either way, it's a relatively hard calculation. And in maths, we want to be lazy. We want to do this as simple as possible. So if I was to try and find half of, say, 40, so if that's 40, try and find half of that, I can divide by 2. That's basically what this is saying. Now if I did 3 halves of that, I could divide by 2, then times by 3. It turns out we can do the same here, so I can divide by the 3 first. That's a much more friendly calculation. So I want to do 3's into 162. Doesn't go into the 1. I carry the 1 over. That goes 5 times, remainder 1, 4. So I get 54 when I divide this by 3. And I want to do 54 times 5. So do 54, 5, 5. Well, it turns out we do have to do 2 calculations anyway, but they're a lot friendlier than they would have been. So this is preferable. So 5 times 4, that gives us 20. 5 times 5, that's 25. We get 270. So the number must be 270. In exam, probably I'll just leave it there and think, that's reasonable because it's bigger than 162, but we could go ahead and check this if we wanted to. So we could try and find out what 3/5 of 270 is. The of means times, so we can replace that. And again, we don't want to make this difficult, so we're not going to do 3 times 270. We're going to do 270 divided by 5 first, which goes in 5, remainder 2, goes in 54. That's the number we had up here. So we're basically just undoing that. And then we times by 3. So we do 54 times 3. Yes, we get 162.